This is the strategy that works. We've been doing this for the last 3.5 years, and it's going to get the most levels of engagement.
This ain't it, this cause I say it respectfully. It's time to eat up, right like a speeder. Taking it deeper and that's how it better be. I never let the comparison get to me. I just remember the promises meant for me. I know the enemy and that he's sent for me. I keep the blood of the lemons, my centerpiece. I cannot trust in no crystals or energy. Look at the chemistry, it do not even mix chemically. Most of the tricks, they be gimmicks, they mimic the truth. It's poison and we got the remedy.
Sure. And what we're looking for is people that are hungry, wanting to hustle, wanting to break through walls, wanting to go after that legendary status.
Show me the chicken, I'm frying it. They say you ain't about it. Tell them that you finna make it, but they doubt it. But you rose like the flower. Tell me what it's like to live with superpowers. I don't know, but I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I just know that I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it.
What's up, guys? I'm Kyle Milan. It's Tuesday, and you know what that means? It means it's time to talk about some industrial marketing. We just got back from being at IMTS for most of last week. That was a crazy show. Met a lot of people, talked to some friends, did some lives from there as part of a promotion for a customer project. And yeah, it was a good time overall. Glad to be back in the office for a full week before we go into FabTech. So if you guys were at IMTS and you had a good time at the show, put a comment down saying that the number one thing that you liked from it. I know Tim Drinkwater liked that he won a machine, which is crazy amazing. Love that he got that. That to me is like just karma out there. He's out there doing good things. He was reciprocated by the universe by being like, hey, you know what? Out of all these people that put their sign up for this machine, we're going to give it to you. And now Tim is going to dominate with that. So guys, we're rolling into the pre-FabTech time. If you guys are going to FabTech, put down in the comment section that you're going. We've got a booth there, 10 by 20, bringing 14 people from the team. We've got numerous customers there. We've got giveaways with a drone. We've got whiskey. We've got swag. We've got merch. We've got tons of stuff. Our booth is going to be crazy for those 3 days, and we're going to have teams walking the show while also managing the booth. So it's going to be an amazing event. We're going to document the whole thing, and you guys will see the footage once Riley gets around to editing it, probably a couple weeks after the show. So for those of you that are new to the content, on Tuesdays, we talk about industrial marketing, everything around it, industrial manufacturing marketing. It does not matter if you have a service or you have a product. If you are doing technical stuff, selling to operations, purchasing, engineers, CEOs in the industrial manufacturing space, this is the channel for you. Be sure, I haven't done this in a week. Like 2 weeks, right? No, we went live Thursday before IMTS. Yeah, so it's been like a week and a half. Before we get any further, go over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. We got over 1,700 videos, 1,700 videos there, all about this content. Let's get into today's episode. Today, we're talking about building your own personal brand to boost your business. I've talked about this so many times, but let's talk about it again because maybe some things have changed. I don't know. I've got 3 bullet points that I'm going to go through. As always, the show, I go through my bullet points, top of head, give you guys the content. We take a break, and then I answer all the comments in the comment section. So be sure to like this, share it out, put comments, tell me where you're coming from, et cetera, et cetera. Let's get into it. Number 1, we going brown? We're going brown?
Yes, we are.
We're going poo. Where's the hot spot?
It should be good.
Should be good. All right, number 1 is going to be the goal. What is the goal? Got to fix the cameras. We're good. What is the goal? What is the goal? What is all the hooting and hollering going on in the office? Craziness. What is the goal? What are you trying to do with your personal brand? Are you trying to separate your personal brand from your business brand? Does not matter if you work for a company or own it, but you got to start with some sort of goal. So here, when we did this years ago, my goal was, I know that I can get my personal brand out there faster by using LinkedIn to send connection requests, accept connection requests, create content, build attention around my personal brand. And I own a company, couple companies. And if I'm creating content, then that attention, people will be like, what does this guy do? Oh, he works for this company. He owns this company. Let me check them out. So is that your goal, or is your goal to just strictly be I want to take my personal brand. I'm a thought leader in the space. I have this full-time job and it's paying me a good salary, but I want to get paid on the side as a side hustle to do this other thing. You got to start there. So it's either going to be get attention around your business or the company you work for to sell more things, or is it you want to create a side hustle? Here's what I've seen. There's a lot of people in the influencer content creation space. And here's something that I've seen so frequently. And it's not just in the last year, it's in the last like 3 to 4 years. So let's say COVID era, post-COVID. People start creating content. They start to get attention. They start to get a little bit of an ego. They then are getting paid money to do something with whatever it is that they do. They leave their full-time job and like, I'm going all in on my personal brand. People are going to pay me to do X, Y, and Z. And then after they do that, a lot of the times they realize, hey, if I want to earn a good living, it's not doing this. There's not enough money in it for me. So then I go back and get a job. And they could justify it. And if you're watching this and you're one of them, you could justify however you want. You can be like, oh, I really wanted to work for this company again because they gave me the flexibility, X, Y, and Z. I'll call BS on a lot of that and say you probably did that because you were sick of the hustle because you're basically created your own company. I mean, it was the company of one. Or we've got people that say, oh, yeah, I've got attention around personal brand. I'm going to create a company doing what I've been doing. People are going to pay me to do it for them. I'm going to be a LinkedIn influencer. I'm going to be doing marketing, sales, content creation, etc. I'm going to do all those things, and they create a company, and then that company over time, 1 to 2 years is what I've seen, then just drops off, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to go get a job. So you have to start with like, what's the goal? Are you willing to go all in, and are you willing to do it in the long run? Are you sick of working for somebody? Then build a personal brand, and then quit your job, but don't go back to it because the people that are following you know. The only reason why you went back is because your shit didn't work. Or are you like, I'm going to build a personal brand to get attention around me being the best robotics integration seller, and it's going to bring in opportunities, and I'm going to get commission on that, and I'm going to get paid my salary from that company and also increase revenue for that company, and then I get commission and it comes into my pocket. So you got to kind of start with that goal. What is the purpose of this? I think that regardless of what situation you're in and regardless of what your goals are, I look at it like this. Getting attention is never a bad thing. And building your own personal brand to be a leader in that space, even if you go into it and say, I'm going to make a content or do something to get attention around myself, which then is going to lead to more revenue. Here's the cool thing about it is that you work for a company in sales or marketing or content creation, and you're getting attention around your own person that then leads to revenue for the company you work for. Eventually your competition is going to see that. And eventually your competition is going to come to you and say, hey, Steve, we'd love to offer you a job. And they're going to steal you away from your current company, and they're going to pay you lots of money because you have created an ecosystem that is networking, collaboration, and all about attention. And they're willing to pay for that, for you to bring your personal brand over to their side to get your personal brand's attention onto their business. 1000% agree with that. Building a personal brand is so important because you can do whatever you want with it. You can choose. You can go into it and say, I just like creating content, making funny stuff, etc. And I just want to do that because it's fun. And if something good comes from it, great. But that's not your intentions. Just do it because you can change your mind down the road. You can be like, oh my God, I've got all this attention. What do I want to do with it? You know what? I want to quit my job and do this full time. I want to go all in on myself and build a business, build a company, whatever. Or you say, you know what? I just want to do this. And then when somebody offers you a job to pay you 1.5 times, 2 times your current revenue, plus all these other perks for you to continue doing what you're doing, but we're going to pay you a hefty salary and give you all these benefits or put you in charge of a department, that's a great situation to be in. But it has to start with a goal because when the tough times come, you have to go back to your goal, and your goal has to be lofty. If you're like, I'm in this space and I want to be the thought leader of all these things, it has to be big up there because when the shit hits the fan and when things aren't working out for you, you have to go back to that goal to give you that motivation and drive to be like, oh, remember my goal, man? I want to be big. I need to still work towards that. And you're not just going to give up on it. So it starts with that. Second thing is going to be competition. This is super important. Number 2, competition. And it's coincidental that I've got some updated information on this based on conversations I was having at IMTS with certain people. And this is like, somebody said something to me and I was like, oh my God, this is so true. I never really thought about it like that. There's a lot of people in this space of industrial that are doing the same thing and not really differentiating themselves from other people. It's like, hey, I've got a podcast. My podcast is going to be named this, and it's super creative. And I'm going to talk to these people about these things. Cool. How many other people are doing that? How many other people are doing podcasts around that subject or that vertical or that industry or that mission or objective? And since 2015, 16, when content creation industrial started becoming a thing to now over the last 8 years, it's like everybody has something. Everybody has a channel. Everybody has a podcast. I feel like a lot of this is post-COVID days, because during COVID, people are like, oh, I'm gonna be an affiliate. I'm gonna sell things on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. It's like there's lots of trends going on. And what happens is like the original people that started it kind of led the way, and then new people are like, oh, they're doing that, I want to do that, and so you do it. But you got to look at all your competition in the field and determine what's going to separate you. Are you just going to do the same thing as everybody else? Are you doing it based on a specific topic that gets a lot of attention, that's very a hot thing to talk about? So like in industrial, it's all about workforce development, right? It's all about the next generation. There's so many people creating content about like, oh, I'm all about the next generation. Yeah, so are you and like 15 other people that are creating stuff. But how are you different? And that's what it comes down to, is are you going to do something different than your competition to get attention around your personal brand, around your business, versus everybody else is doing the same thing? So you got to kind of understand the landscape and then keep your fingers on the pulse of it. You could go into it and say, I'm not going into this to quit my job and do it full time. I'm just going to create content around something I'm passionate about and continue to do that. But typically, there becomes some point where monetization is there. Look at everybody that's creating content in the space that doesn't own their own business, that is an actual business of employees. I'm not talking about people that say, oh yeah, I started my own company, it's a company of one. I'm talking about people that have employees. So like, I started my own company, now we've got almost 30 employees here. I'm creating content to drive attention on my personal brand because I've got very lofty goals of where I want it to be in the space. But I also have a business to run, and that attention then results in potential opportunities for me. And so you have to look at it and say, what is my goal? What is my objective? Who's my competition in the space? What am I going to do that's different? How am I going to leverage this and scale it and get it bigger and bigger? Because a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, I'm an influencer, I'm doing this stuff, I'm going to go start my own company, and it's a company of one, and you never really grow. It's not always for everyone. Just because other people are creating their own business and going on their own, if you're not wired for that, if you're not driven for that, you eventually will wash out after a year or two, because it's not a fun place to be in. Eventually, you get into a position where it can be fun. But the first 3 to 5 years that I owned this business, it was not fun. It was ups and downs. It was a roller coaster ride. It was hiring people, firing people. It was, I don't even need employees. It was loss of revenue. It was COVID taking a hit. Nobody wanted to do marketing. Nobody wanted to do revenue generation. Everybody was just kind of like hunkering down during COVID. So revenue has just gone up and down. And then now post-COVID, it's like on a steady incline, but it's not typically a fun place to be in. So you got to ask yourself that question, like, are you really wired for that? Or are you a good number one that's going to lead it? Or are you a better number 2 or 3 that's better to be part of a team, but not the one doing everything? But you got to look at the entire landscape of competition. In my space in particular, specifically to industrial marketing, are there other people that talk about it? Sure. I feel like marketing in general is like anybody that looks at like, oh, I've got attention around social, or like, oh, I create videos and I can get attention around it for myself. They're like, oh, I'm going to create a marketing agency and do it for other people. That's cool. And maybe you'll get some micro wins, but to scale it, and even if that's not what you want to do, but to scale it out to build a team around your experience as a influencer in a specific niche on one platform does not mean that companies of size are going to be like, oh yeah, I want to pay you $10,000 a month to do this. There are people in the space that compete with me, but it's a pretty specific niche, and the level of depth and topics that we go into here, and us just giving away everything for free on what we do as an agency at scale, and the strategies that I put in place, and the new tactics that we have, and technology and all that stuff. There's not really anybody out there that is doing it at that level, that frequency, and that amount of volume as we are. So I'm in a competitive space, as is everybody watching this, but you got to figure out what's going to set you apart and make you different, because otherwise you're just going to be another, you don't want to be another person that goes live on LinkedIn, another person that is a influencer or a guest speaker on a platform, or does videos, or sits up on a panel. Like, I know that the feeling might be good there, but like realistically, like there's so many people doing that. What are you going to do that's different? Like, what are you going to bring to the table? And it can't just be your personality. Like, I'm exciting and I talk a lot about a lot of stuff. It's got to be like, how are you doing it and executing differently to get attention around it? And can you scale that if that's what you want to do? If you don't think that you can scale it, then you're definitely going to be wasting your time. Number 3, the last and final, we'll put it right in the middle, is going to be the content type for your personal brand. Not everybody can do all things. Video is going to be the most effective. If you like to write, then write. If you cool with being on videos, then be on video. If you want to do a podcast, do an audio only podcast. You can do a video podcast. You can do whatever you want. But you have to figure out, like, how am I going to push this out there? And it can't just be one thing. You can't just think I'm only going to make videos and get attention around it. You also have to hit the other areas to pull in all of the different audiences, but figure out, all right, with my personal brand, am I going to take a picture everywhere I go? Am I going to create something fun because I'm always traveling in sales and on the road, and I'm just going to take a picture of like every city I go into or state I travel to or something like that? Are you going to do a video podcast where you bring on guests to talk about a subject? Are you going to document something that you're doing? Are you going to come from a thought leader position and be like, hey, I was able to do all these things. Now I want to teach you how to do them yourself. A lot of people did that. I know numerous people that blew up on LinkedIn that have hundreds of thousands or 1 million followers on it that said they got attention around themselves and they create a business teaching other people how to do it, which is a tough business to do because there's not necessarily a specific science or art form to it. It's kind of like depending on the moment, the time, what you're talking about, etc., that will push you there to be able to say, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. But doing it for yourself and doing it for other people is a completely different story. I learned that when I started this business 9 years ago. I was very good and successful selling and marketing industrial companies, and then I said, I'm going to see if I can do this for multiple businesses. And when you don't have control, or that's your only job, etc., there are struggles there. So you have to do it at scale, and it's a service-based industry, so it's going to require additional people that don't have your experience, and it's not going to go as quick as you think. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to now help other people do the same thing and they're going to pay me lots of money to do it. You may get some successes and some wins, but long term, 1, 2, 3, 5 years down the road, you might see that eventually fizzles out. But you have to pick a content type and, again, try and be different. Look at the competition. How many people in your space, if you search the subjects, the text, the people that you are connected with, etc., the YouTube channels you follow, the publications that you follow, the blog people that are out there that are writing content, look at all those people and figure out, like, how can you be different? You don't want to be a me too, where it's like, oh yeah, they have a podcast interviewing people in this industry, me too. You got to change it up somehow, and you got to figure out, is that the content type, or is it the personality? Is it the questions? Is it the way that you're doing a show or an interview or something? You got to look at all those different aspects to then determine it. It could just be you go LinkedIn Live and you're going to share knowledge that you learned because you've been a machinist for 30 years and you're going to teach the younger guys how to do stuff. It could be, I'm going to go live from my shop floor, or I'm going to go live every day and show how a machine is set up, or how production moves through my facility. Like, it's got to be something that you're comfortable doing, that you can talk a lot about, that's going to make you stand out. Once you do that and you get attention, now you can convert it into a revenue source and push that attention onto either your company you own, company you work for, or monetarily for yourself as a side hustle, where people are like, oh my God, I love the energy and everything you're doing. I want to have you be a host of this show that we're doing. We need somebody with your type of look and feel and vibe. So I want you to be the figurehead for this show that we're doing. And then they pay you money. Is it going to be a substantial amount of money? No, it's not going to be tens of thousands of dollars a month to do that. But if that's not your goal, then it's fine. If you're just like, I want to do this for fun and maybe I make 500 to 1,500 bucks more a month, then cool, do that. But that goes back to number one, the goal. So again, to recap this before we take a break and go into comments, start with a goal. What is the purpose of you doing this? Is it to get attention around your personal brand, to do something on your own as a side hustle? Is it to get around your personal brand, to do something where you start a company from it? Is it completely unknown? I just want to stand out and get attention. Is it for the business that you own? Is it for a business that you work for? Start with that goal and figure out what is going to drive you to continue to do this. Number two, look at all the other people in the space and figure out, what are people doing? What's getting attention? How can you be different and create something from that? And then the content type, number three, is going to be, what are you creating? Is it an article? Is it a blog series? Is it video series, podcast, going live on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram? What is it that's going to be your thing, and how are you going to deliver this content to people? Once you have those three things laid out, then it comes into point number four, which is going to be execution. Doing it and saying, I'm going to do this for the next 12 months. I'm going to do this for the next 2 years, go all in and see if it works out. But starting with that plan and then going to execution, that is the way to do it. This is what I've been doing for the last 9 years or so. I built my own personal brand in the specific industry prior to LinkedIn and LinkedIn Live and content creation days. People just knew about me because I was out there in the streets, hustling, getting business, stealing business, winning business, etc. And became my own personal brand in the niche I was in, and then took it to scale, obviously, over the last 9 years. And here's where we're at today, which is nowhere near where we're going to be in the next 1 to 2 years. You're not even going to be able to recognize what's going on, because we're going to be 10 to 20 times bigger based on the things that we have going on. So we're going to take a short break, and then we'll go into the comments to see if there are any comments. We'll be right back.
Okay. All I hear, go get the money, so I go get it. Hate means I do something right, so I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the.
All right, guys, we're back. Let's go through any comments or questions that we have. And if we don't have much, then I'm going to get on about my day. Roll it, Riley.
All right, so we got some comments about IMTS. Adam Schmidt says, IMTS win, my new hat.
Adam Schmidt, met Adam in person, as well as Tim's entire team from Janesville. Gave him 3 hats to throw up because they said that they liked them. We got some pretty dope hats. I mean, this one is the white one. Not everybody likes white. Everybody goes for the black. Hold it up. Look at that hat. That's a dope hat. We've got industrial on the back. Hashtag industrial. That's a snapback. I don't know if this is a flex fit. No, it's not a flex fit. That's just a curved snapback. We got so much swag. I feel like I did that post yesterday about the shoes, and everybody's like, I need a pair. I want a pair of those shoes. Like, we've got some pretty dope swag, I'll have to say. But Adam, great meeting you in person. I better see some pictures of you rocking that hat, dude.
And then Tim makes a little funny since he won the machine. He says, yeah, the show was all right.
Yeah, Tim, the show is all right. Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. It was great meeting you in person, Tim, and your team. Hopefully you guys got some value out of it. We got some pictures, had some good conversations. That's what it's all about, is community. If there's anything I could do to help people, I try and do it to boost them up. I mean, I was just on a call yesterday with a guy that I've become just liking so much every time I talk to him. And he was like, hey, I want to keep these coaching calls going. He was a ISU student, and you get 2 coaching calls when you become an industrial sales university student. 2 free coaching calls. And he's like, I want to keep it going. I was like, dude, it's all good. You don't have to pay me for that. Like, let's get you where you need to go.
All right. And then Jeremy says, it was the best show for us. We got everything done on my shop planner this year. 73 booths done with meaningful conversations at each.
Get it, Jeremy. 73 booths. That is a good 5 days, right? I mean, and especially if you look at the size of the booths, how things were spread out, 5 different halls. I mean, that's good. 73 meaningful conversations. I don't think you can ask for anything more than that. We visited, I don't even know, 4 or 5, 6 customers. I probably had nowhere near 73, but I probably had like 10 to 15 meaningful conversations. Even people that we're going to see at FabTech, be sure was making sure to stop by them so that way we can plan things that we're going to do together there. But yes, it was. I think it was a good show for everybody all together, and it was also. It'll be interesting to see where the numbers come out 2024 over 2022 to see was there more people. I talked to people. I wasn't there in 22, but I talked to some people. Day one was super slow. They're like, oh, this is not as good as 22 was on day one, but then day 2 bounced back and the numbers were looking pretty promising to where it was going to be better than 22. It's a good show. Here's something that's interesting about the show, and I said this to a few people, is that people that are at IMTS, they're in the machining, cutting, that world of like let's just say removing material from stuff, whether you're using software to do it, machinery to do it, service, tools, etc. People at IMTS are like, what? There is no show that's bigger. This is the biggest show. This is the best industry. This is manufacturing. And what's funny is that if you ask the people on the plastic side at NPE, the National Plastics Expo, which is very similar to size, not as big as IMTS, the plastics people are like, what are you talking about? IMTS? No, that's nothing. The influencers, the people that are famous in the IMTS show are not known by anybody in plastics. No different than not known by people in Pack Expo and Automate. No different than people at FabTech are like, maybe there's some cross collaboration because it's metal, typically dealing with metals, but it's more bending, forming, shaping, cutting, etc. And not cutting like with end mills, but cutting with like lasers. But it's funny how each show, certain personalities are like, this is manufacturing. It's like, dude, we go to all of the shows, and it's funny how everybody thinks that their show is the biggest show or the most important show, and that they don't know any of the other companies or people that are famous at these other shows. They're like, I have no idea who that is. Yet, egos come into play, and they're like, this is it. This is the show. And it certainly is not.
All right. And then Tim has a question, and he asks, when building your personal brand to promote your own business, what metrics, vanity or not, should I watch?
Yeah. So Tim, I mean, like with your personal brand, initially I would just look at impressions. So like you doing a post of you winning that machine is going to get a lot of engagement, a lot of impressions, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 impressions you could get. It's look at how much reach do you have first, build up that reach, make sure that it's the right audience. You don't want to just have reach of, oh, I'm super popular in China, even though you do nothing in China, or India and you do nothing in India, but I'm super popular there and I have 50,000 followers from that country. If it's not going to result in anything that goes back to your goal, then it doesn't matter. That's just a stupid metric. But I initially look at overall reach. Then you start to hone and adjust your strategy and focus more on engagement while still keeping reach in mind. Because if you're not reaching people, if you're not getting impressions, then you're not really going to go anywhere. So start with connection, network, reach, impressions. Profile views would be great. So upgrading to maybe Sales Navigators to where you get Sales Navigator Plus Premium in one for $79 or $169, depending on which license you go with on Sales Navigator. But you get them both. You're able to see impressions on your personal profile views, and all that stuff, while still having the ability to build custom lists in Sales Navigator. But looking at how many people are viewing my profile, how many impressions am I getting per post? How many impressions did I get in the last month? And that's the place to start. And then from there, adjusting it to where, all right, I get in all these impressions. Is it resulting in actual opportunities and money? Then you can look at engagement. Like I did this post and I only got 1 comment where normally I get 50. Something's different. Something's off. But you really got to harness it and say, how much reach do I have first? And then let's look at engagement. As long as the reach is in the right industry, which for you, Tim, I feel like you are, you're going to get a lot of attention around what happened at IMTS with you, a lot of great attention, and I'm going to shoot you a private message, like I said in my comment, to say this is what I would do with it. This is how I would continue doing this to keep that going. I don't want to give away everything for free to everybody, but for you, I will. That's it?
Yeah. Right.
Is that what that means? Hang loose. Riley gave me the hang loose symbol. So that means we're good. All right, guys, it is Tuesday, 12:35. I'm going to go on about my day, eat some lunch before my next meeting. Be sure to stick around next Tuesday, right? Is our next live? Next Tuesday is our next live. What? No. Oh, next Tuesday is not our next live because we're going to be at a trade show. We could probably go live from the trade show. Maybe. We are filming an episode of a series that we are rekindling tomorrow. So those of you that knew that I did a show that was kind of like How It's Made or Dirty Jobs by Mike Rowe. Did a show back in 2018. We're bringing it back. First shooting is tomorrow, local here in Austin. It's going to be fun. Riley's at the helm. He's going to make this thing super popular, famous, and very polished, look like something that a massive production house created. So that's exciting for us.
You want to say the name? You want to keep it secret?
I feel like we should keep a secret
Okay.
and once we release some clips behind the scenes tomorrow that we'll film with our phone, then we can release the name and then we'll go public with it. So excited about that project, a new series for YouTube. You never know what can happen with it. But that's it. So be sure to share this with a friend if you got value out of it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on notifications, and I'll see you on the next one.